Now let's see what a JSON Web Token really is. So here in our local storage, let's copy this JSON Web Token. Now let's head over to JWT.io. This is the main website for working with JSON Web Tokens. It has a very comprehensive introduction to JSON Web Tokens. It clearly explains how these tokens work, but you're going to learn about these throughout this section as well. We also have a bunch of libraries for different platforms. With these libraries, you can generate and validate JSON Web Tokens. For example, in my Node course, I use one of these libraries to generate these JSON Web Tokens when the user logs in. In your applications, you might use a different backend technology. You might use ASP.NET Core, Django, or whatever. You can always come back here and find the library for the platform you are using. Now, what I want to show you in this lecture is this debugger. With this debugger, we can decode a JSON Web Token and look at its content. So here on the left side, let's paste this JSON Web Token that we just copied. On the right side, we can see this JSON Web Token has three parts. The header, that is the part in red, and this is pretty standard. All tokens have that. We never have to worry about this. The second part is the payload. So what we have on the left side in purple, this is the encoded version of this JSON object. So that's why we call this a JSON Web Token. It's a JSON object that is encoded using base 64 URL algorithm. So here in the payload, we have properties like ID of the user, their name, their email, and the time this token was generated. That's why earlier I told you that a JSON Web Token is like an identification card, like your driver's license or your passport. It has various attributes about the user. We refer to these attributes as claims. So this token is claiming that this user, their ID is this value, their name is Mosh, their email is whatever. These are claims about a given user. Finally, the last part, the part in blue, is a digital signature that is generated based on the header, the payload, and a secret that is only available on the server. So this prevents a malicious user from getting their own JSON Web Token and then modifying their ID to pretend to be someone else. Because the moment you modify any of these properties, this digital signature needs to be regenerated. And as I told you earlier, in order to generate this digital signature, we need a private key, a secret. And this is only available on the server. So unless a hacker gets access to the server and finds the private key, they cannot modify their JSON Web Token to pretend to be someone else. So this is the basic idea about JSON Web Tokens. Now, what is interesting here is that in the payload, we have attributes about the user. So we can decode this JSON Web Token, extract these attributes, and then we can easily display the user's name on the navigation bar. So this is the basic idea about JSON Web Tokens. Now, what is interesting is that here in the payload, we have some basic information about the user. So we don't have to query our database every time we want to find out the user's name or email. All these basic information are included in our JSON Web Token. So next, I'm going to show you how to get this JSON Web Token from the local storage, decode it, get the payload, extract the name of the user, and display it on the navigation bar.